Arsenal now then, they've been linked with a few players ahead of the January transfer window, and none sort of more so than a player who's become a bit of a regular feature on this podcast in the last couple of weeks. But Kenan Yildiz from Juventus, again, one we speak about all the time. It looked like Juventus were trying to get him tied down to a new deal. That now appears to have stalled. Do you think Arsenal and maybe the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, all of these clubs who are being linked to him will be sort of on alert as a result of that?
Oh yeah, for sure. There'll be right across this situation with Yildiz and his contract situation at Juventus. If no new deal can be agreed with the Italian giants, I'm sure Arsenal would be ready to make a move for the highly rated attacking player as well. I think he's regarded as one of the youngest or one of the hottest young properties in European football. He's done so well for Juventus that he's obviously come onto the radar of a number of top clubs, the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Real Madrid, have all been credited with an interest in Yildiz. That's why Juventus are so keen to try and sort out his future and give him improved terms. He's under contract in Turin until 2029, but they want to give him an improved deal just to reflect his importance to the team right now as well. Obviously, nothing's been agreed as yet, and if there's any green light or door opens for any of his interested parties, I'm sure that those clubs will be ready to make a move for Yildiz because, as I said, he's a potential star in the making, and these top clubs would love the opportunity to try and prize him away from Juventus.
Another of the hottest young prospects in Europe is Ethan Nwaneri. Obviously, he's played quite an important role for Arsenal in the last couple of seasons, I suppose. And with Martin Odegaard out of the side this year, he's played more than maybe he might have expected at Arsenal. But with Odegaard now set to return, it looks like he'll sort of be pushed down the pecking order a little bit. There's been a bit of speculation that he could leave Arsenal on loan, maybe in search of more regular playing time, especially I suppose when Odegaard comes back. Do you think that's something that they could look to maybe explore, or is it going to be something that Arsenal are really sort of against?
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. A lot will depend on the return of those injured players in that Arsenal squad right now. If Odegaard comes back fit, Kai Havertz back fit, Madueke, etc., all return fit, maybe it would push Nwaneri further down the pecking order. Look, he's still only 18. I think we seem to forget that he's still a very young player. It's going to be difficult to break into that star-studded Arsenal team considering how well they're doing in the Premier League this season as well. I think he's played less than 500 minutes of football this season, but he has started both the Carabao Cup games against Port Vale and Brighton and also in the Champions League against Slavia Prague. So he still remains a key player for Mikel Arteta. I think if there's any further injuries to attacking players, especially over this busy period coming up now, there's no more international breaks until March now. We've got the busy Christmas period ahead of us. Nwaneri could get more minutes under his belt as well. Look, if he is made available on loan, Ethan Nwaneri, there's going to be no shortage of takers for him. He's a top young talent. He's proven that for Arsenal and also for England's under 21s as well. But it would have to be the right move for Arsenal and for Nwaneri because they won't want to just send him out on loan anywhere. But I'm sure there'll be interest from home and abroad if he does become available. But as I said, nothing's decided as yet. A lot will depend on Arsenal's injuries and their squad fitness before any decisions made on Nwaneri. But look, as I said, top player. If he was become available on loan, there'll be a lot of clubs queuing up to sign him.
At Leeds now, it looks like they want to sign a striker in the January transfer window. That's been sort of a key position for them this season. Dominic Calvert-Lewin maybe hasn't scored the goals that they hoped he might. They've been linked with a loan move for Real Madrid's Gonzalo Garcia, who I think has been linked with the likes of Brighton as well, potentially being allowed to leave the Bernabeu on loan when the window opens. Do you think he'll be a realistic target for Leeds?
Yeah, again, he's somebody that obviously if the opportunity's there for Leeds United to try and sign Garcia, it's something they would have to look into for sure. Look, goals have been a problem for Leeds United this season. There's no getting away from that. Just 10 goals in 11 Premier League matches so far, the second lowest scorers in the league. As you said, the summer signings of Lucas Nemecha and Calvert-Lewin have only contributed 3 goals between them so far this season, and they're going to need to add more goals to their side if they are to have any chance of staying up as well in that way. Garcia, young player, has found minutes hard to come by at Real Madrid this season, and there's no surprise at that. It's hard to break into Xabi Alonso's star-studded team when you've got the likes of Mbappe ahead of you, and also with Vinny Jr. and Rodrigo. It is going to be tough to get minutes in that side as well. Look, he burst into the scene over the summer, Garcia, when he finished as top scorer at the Club World Cup. He got 4 goals in that tournament. If Real Madrid are willing to loan him out, I'm sure it's more than just Leeds who would be interested in him. I believe Brighton, Villa, Wolves have all expressed interest if he does become available as well. Look, a lot will depend on Real Madrid. If there's any injuries to their forwards, then it might mean there's no chance that Garcia goes out on loan. They've already close to agreeing a loan move for Endrick as well. So again, Real Madrid wouldn't have a lot of other striking options in their side if there's any injuries to the like of Mbappe or Vinny Jr. or Rodrigo. So a lot will depend on the fitness of Real's star players if before any move can be decided on Garcia. But again, I think if Leeds could add him to their squad, he would definitely add to their attacking options. And I think he's a player who's shown real potential, especially in that Club World Cup. So it's probably one to keep an eye on in January. But a lot will depend on Real Madrid's injuries, especially with Endrick leaving already.
In terms of potential loan departures from Leeds, then there's been a bit of talk about Harry Gray, who obviously made his mark during pre-season for them, but hasn't been able to feature maybe as much as he might have hoped in the Premier League. Obviously he's only still really young. Do you expect that he could make a move potentially to a Championship club in the January window to go and gain that experience with a view to one day, becoming more of a regular at Leeds?
Yeah, I think obviously Harry Gray is regarded as one of the best young players to come through at Leeds in recent years. Obviously, the younger brother of Archie Gray, who obviously had a great time at Leeds United as well. Big things are expected of Harry Gray, but he's still only 17 years old. Only recently signed his first professional deal at Ellen Road as well. Obviously, Leeds feel he's not maybe ready for the first team just yet. He's been playing for the under 21s this season, but 7 goals in 9 games so far this season just shows how prolific Gray can be in front of goal as well. It'll be a big decision for Leeds to make, I think, in January, whether to keep him around the fold or to loan him out. If they do decide to loan him out, I'm sure there'll be a number of clubs who'd be interested in signing the teenager on loan. But again, for Leeds, it would have to be the right option. It would have to be the right option for Gray as well, if he is to maybe step down in the Championship in search of regular first team football and gain valuable first team experience as well. So look, a lot to weigh up, I think, for all parties in this one. A lot to weigh up for Harry Gray, a lot to weigh up for Leeds as well. But as I said, if he does become available on loan, there'll be a number of clubs who'll be chomping at the bit to try and sign him.
If we shift our focus up to Scotland now, then Rangers have been linked with a few players to strengthen their squad in the mid-season window. More recently, David Watson from Kilmarnock, a young midfielder, I think he's only 20, out of contract in the summer. Do you think, like I've said before, rather than waiting until the summer, they might look to get a cut price deal done in January to sort of bolster their squad?
Yeah, it's a potential move that could happen for Rangers. As you said, the contract situation at Kilmarnock for Watson opens the door maybe for Rangers to land the player for a cut price fee in the new year. Obviously, Kilmarnock are facing a battle to keep hold of him. No deal's been agreed to keep the player at Rugby Park as well. So this January would offer the last opportunity for maybe Kilmarnock to cash in on the player. And again, they would probably have to accept a cut price fee rather than his market value due to his contract situation. Obviously, Rangers have been keeping tabs on Watson for a while now, so he's a player who could come in and hit the ground running for Rangers. He's obviously proven in the Scottish Premier League as well. He's a player with huge potential, and if Rangers could land him for a cut price fee in January, it could be a real smart pickup by Danny Roll's side as well. And obviously, signing him in January would then sort of ward off any potential interest from other clubs trying to sign Watson on a free transfer next summer, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest from elsewhere in Scotland and probably also in the English Championship. So I think it could be a smart move by Rangers to try and get a deal tied up early for the midfielder who would add a bit of dynamism into their midfield.
James Tavernier is also out of contract soon for Rangers, and there's been a lot of speculation about his future. I think that's been spoken about for a few years now, whether he might be sort of past his best and looking to move on. Do you think Rangers could look to keep him at the club? He's obviously still very influential for them, still the club captain, plays a big part in the dressing room. So do you think the sort of pros outweigh the cons in that situation?
Yeah, look, he still has a lot to offer for Rangers. As you said, he's still club captain at Ibrox as well. He's been a great servant for Rangers. Been at the club for over 10 years now. He's made over 530 appearances. So that just shows the standard that Tavernier has proved at Rangers over the years. 34 now. Look, he's not getting any younger. There's no getting away from it. But it seems every transfer window we have talked maybe that Tavernier could move on, but he always remains at Rangers. Still playing a key role in the side this season. 6 goals and 3 assists for Rangers in all competitions. I'm sure Danny Roll ideally would like to keep hold of Tavernier because, as you said, it's not just his influence on the pitch, it's probably his influence off the pitch as well as the club captain that he will want to keep hold of him. I'm sure there'll be clubs who'll be looking at Tavernier's contract situation, hoping that they could prize him away, and a lot will depend on Tavernier and what he wants to do. Does he see himself staying at Rangers for the rest of his career, or does he fancy a new challenge elsewhere? So, yeah, I think it'll be the player who will go a long way to deciding his own future plans as well. I'm sure Rangers would like to keep him, and talks will be held over extending that association with Rangers. But again, I'm sure the players will have options elsewhere as well.
On the other side of Glasgow now, then Celtic finally look to be closing in on the appointment of their next manager, with Wilfred Nancy coming in from Columbus Crew. There's still sort of talks ongoing, it seems, about his arrival and whether it could even be done actually. What are the sort of hurdles that are remaining there for Celtic to go over before they can finalise his appointment?
Yeah, look, Nancy is the strong favourite to replace Brendan Rodgers at Celtic. It's been 4 weeks since Rodgers left now, so Celtic really need to get this sort of situation resolved as soon as possible. It seems obviously that talks are ongoing between Nancy and Celtic. They were given permission by Columbus Crew to speak to him last week, and it does seem that the two clubs are trying to trash out a compensation package to get this deal done, but nothing is finalised as yet. Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney will remain in charge for this weekend's Scottish Premier League game against St Mirren, and could potentially still be involved for the Europa League game against Feyenoord. So the longer it drags on, it's not great for Celtic, but obviously Nancy is the man that the club have looked to try and bring in to replace Rodgers, and obviously talks are ongoing, and I think once this compensation deal can be agreed, then finally they can get this deal over the line.
Dyson Maeda's future at Celtic has been massively up in the air since the summer. It looked like there might be a move away from him during the summer window, never sort of materialised. He came out shortly afterwards and said he'd been interested in a move away. Do you think, I mean, he really hasn't been at his best this season. He looks sort of distracted by that transfer talk. Do you think Celtic could maybe look to cash in on him in January, raise a little bit of money and potentially use that to spend elsewhere?
Yeah, potentially there is an opportunity maybe for Celtic to cash in and Dyson Maeda. Like you said, he's definitely not been on his best this season. He's probably been a bit distracted by all that transfer speculation over the summer. Maybe a bit disappointed that he didn't get his move away in the summer transfer window which he hoped for. But look, for Celtic right now, I don't think they can afford to let him go without bringing in a replacement. First and foremost, he's obviously a player who's maybe a bit unhappy with his situation right now. He's under contract until 2027. If there is interest in Maeda in the January window, it's maybe something Celtic will look at to allow the player to move on, and to allow the player to get the move that he wished he got in the summer as well. There's been talk of some interest from the Premier League and the likes of Everton and Brentford and others looking at Maeda as well. But I think for Celtic right now, they can only let him leave if they bring in a replacement. And as I said, they'll be looking a decent fee for Maeda as well, because up until this season he was in superb form for Celtic, playing as a striker in the second half of last season. But he's such a versatile player. He can play left wing, he can play on the right wing, he can play up front. So look, if Celtic, a lot will depend again also on the new manager when he does arrive. Does he want to keep hold of Maeda or not, or will he be open to cashing in on him as well? So there's lots up in the air regards Maeda's future as well. But for Celtic right now, they need to add to the squad, not weaken it.
Lastly, then, Pete, as always, we'll speak about a couple of the managers who are under a bit of speculation at the moment, whether it's to do with sackings or potential incomings elsewhere. The biggest of which has been Marco Silva at Celtic, at Fulham. Um, There's been lots of speculation about his future, whether he could leave on a free, whether he could even be sacked before that. Fulham look to be attempting to get him tied down to a new contract. There's been talk of a new 3-year deal. Do you think that that decision is one that we can expect soon, or will it be more towards the end of the season when maybe things are a little bit clearer for sort of Fulham's future?
Well, I think Fulham ideally would like something done pretty soon. As you said, talks have been held between Marco Silva and Fulham during this most recent international break. A 3-year deal is on the table, and there is confidence within the Fulham camp that Silva will pledge his future to the club and end any speculation of a move away. Obviously, it's uncertain for Fulham due to his current deal expiring in the summer when Silva could walk away in a free transfer or walk away in a free. I mean, and obviously nobody at Fulham wants that to happen. They want to keep hold of Marco Silva long term. It's been a disappointing campaign so far. No getting away from that, but he has done a really good job at Craven Cottage. So I'm sure in an ideal world, Fulham would like Silva to sign a new deal and build on what he's done so far at the West London club as well. But Silva does seem to like to take his time over these decisions as well, which Fulham don't want this dragging on into the new year. They'd rather get it done so that they know where everyone stands, and then Fulham can build ahead and look forward to the next two transfer windows with the manager's future tied up, and then they can build on that.
One name who's been linked with the Fulham job, given a speculation about Silva, is Brendan Rodgers. Obviously, as we said, he's been out of the game since leaving Celtic around a month ago. Um, he potentially could be looking to make that move back to the Premier League. I know he was linked with the Wolves job as well. Do you think he would be one sort of in mind for Fulham if maybe Silva, the contract talks with Silva didn't go as hoped?
Yeah, I'm sure he'd be somebody who's maybe on their list. Look, he's out of work. Brendan Rodgers, he's probably one of the best free agent managers in the market right now as well. He's Premier League proven during his time at Liverpool, at Leicester. He's had great success up at Celtic as well. So, look, if there's any club out there who needs a manager at the highest level, Brendan Rodgers is going to be in contention. There's no doubts about that. Still one of the best managers around. As I said, his availability will pique a lot of interest in a lot of clubs. But as I said, Fulham's priority right now is to try and tie down Silva to a new deal, end any speculation over a move away. And as I said, any top jobs that do come up between now and in the new year, Brendan Rodgers is obviously going to figure in the thinking of a number of clubs. But I'm sure Rodgers himself will have a lot of options to consider, and maybe not just in the Premier League, but also abroad at some point.
That will definitely be one for us to keep across what's happening with Brendan Rodgers. And as we go head towards the January transfer window opening again, a lot of these deals I think we can expect to sort of start speeding up, and we'll be able to provide updates for everybody in the next couple of weeks. So cheers, Pete.